Hello, welcome to DPR-101, Basic IPM for the Classroom and Office Environment. This free training course was developed by the School and Child Care IPM team at the California Department of Pesticide Regulation. It is designed for school and child care center staff responsible for the general sanitation of classrooms and other indoor spaces, and use antimicrobial pesticides such as disinfectants and sanitizers as a part of those tasks. This course meets the Healthy Schools Act annual training requirement. Today, we will briefly go over the Healthy Schools Act and Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. We will also learn about antimicrobial pesticides and how to use them properly. Part 1. Let's begin by talking about the Healthy Schools Act and pests and pesticides at school. The Healthy Schools Act, or HSA, is a right-to-know law. It requires public K-12 school districts and public and private licensed child care centers to inform parents and school staff about pesticide use at their school sites. The law requires annual training for anyone who applies any pesticide at a school site. This includes sanitizers and disinfectants, as they are registered as antimicrobial pesticides with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the California Department of Pesticide Regulation. School districts and child care centers must appoint an IPM coordinator responsible for the notification and reporting requirements of the HSA. IPM coordinators prepare your district or center's required annual notifications and pesticide use reports. These notifications include an IPM plan that describes how pests are managed, a list of pesticides anticipated for use throughout the year, and a registry for parents and staff who want to be notified of non-exempt applications before they occur. IPM coordinators are also responsible for making sure warning signs are posted in application areas and that pesticide use is reported to our team at least once per year. Some pesticides are exempt from the notification, posting, and reporting requirements. Antimicrobial pesticides are exempt because they're used for public health purposes. Other types of pesticides exempt from the HSA are gels and pastes used as crack and crevice treatments, self-contained bait stations, and pesticides exempt from registration. They're exempt because they pose a lower risk of exposure or are of the least toxic pesticide class. If you do not know who your district IPM coordinator is, ask your facility supervisor or center director. When you see a pest or conditions that could lead to a potential pest problem, let your IPM coordinator know right away so they can assess the situation and help. Never bring pesticides from home to apply yourself without the knowledge of the IPM coordinator. So, why should we care about pests and pesticides at school? Schools and child care centers are unique environments where children and school employees spend most of their day, every day, for most of the year. In urban settings, pests take advantage of the conditions people create to provide them with the resources to live. School buildings have multiple doors, windows, and dark hiding places that can provide easy access and shelter. If they find what they need once inside, they could become a problem and potentially require the use of pesticides for control. Pests can pose health risks, such as cockroaches triggering asthma or rats carrying fleas that transmit disease. Others may bite or sting or contaminate our food and annoy us. Pests can harm us mentally or physically, damage property, or cause economic loss. In a busy school with a tight budget, a pest problem can be a costly headache. Pesticides are unique among toxic substances because they're designed to kill or control pests like weeds, bugs, rodents, and germs. There is an inherent risk when they are released into the environment. By preventing pests from entering a building and denying them resources, you can reduce the likelihood of an infestation taking hold, which means less indoor pesticide use. Pesticides are reviewed and registered with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Pesticide Regulation. Once approved, they're issued an EPA registration number that must be on the label. Some products found at school may seem like pesticides when they are not. Products that do not make claims to kill or repel pests and do not have an EPA registration number on the label are not regulated as pesticides. Cleaning products that do not claim to kill germs are not pesticides. Products used to kill germs or pests on the human body, like hand sanitizers or head lice treatments, are not pesticides. They're regulated by other agencies and do not fall under the Healthy Schools Act requirements. Mosquito repellents are an exception. Most are registered pesticides. Now, let's talk about the effects of exposure in children's health. Anytime a pesticide is applied, the potential for exposure increases. Some exposure symptoms you may notice right away or shortly after exposure. These are called acute effects. Some symptoms can be rash, headache, eye irritation, nausea, muscle pain, dizziness, and respiratory distress. Sometimes symptoms begin to emerge after repeated exposure over a long period of time. These are called chronic effects. Possible chronic effects can be learning disabilities, birth defects, organ damage, and asthma symptoms. You can also develop sensitivities over time, leading to exposure symptoms that you didn't experience while using the product before. Some people are more sensitive to pesticide exposure than others. A person's size and age can affect how their body reacts, so children are more sensitive than adults. Their bodies are still developing, and they have fewer natural defenses. Their skin is softer and more absorbent, and their immature respiratory systems are more vulnerable to corrosive fumes. If pesticides are improperly used in a child's environment, it increases their risk for illness or injury because of the potential for increased effects from exposure. Children are also more likely than adults to be exposed to pesticides. They spend more time playing on floors and the ground where pesticides may have been applied. They crawl on carpets and have full body contact with the floor where residues may be present. They're naturally curious and could come into contact with incorrectly stored pesticides. Young children are more likely to put their hands or toys in their mouths, potentially ingesting residues on them. As adults, it is up to us to be aware of the risks and to use these products properly. Knowledge Check Part 1. The Healthy Schools Act is a law that A. Requires employees to walk an hour a day for fitness. B. Requires school sites to provide information about on-site pesticide use to parents and staff. C. Forbids school sites from using any pesticides at all. D. Obligates school districts to rely on preventative pest management techniques only. The answer is B. Requires school sites to provide information about on-site pesticide use to parents and staff. Part 2. Integrated Pest Management and the Indoor School Environment. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't do pest management. But, as the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Anytime you clean and organize, you're participating in the most important part of a pest management approach called Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. IPM uses multiple methods to prevent and monitor for pest issues over time, and uses lower risk specific pesticides only when and where they are needed. You see, pesticides are an important tool in managing pests, but they are not the only most effective solution for long-term control. Unaddressed sanitation, storage, and maintenance repairs can all contribute to pest problems. When you deal with these issues, you reinforce the foundation of an IPM program by removing access, food, water, and shelter. Here's an example. You walk into a classroom one Friday morning to find a trail of ants. You follow the trail and find that they are nibbling at a sticky substance in a cabinet where food is stored. You look towards the door and see light coming from underneath it. Rather than clean up the sticky substance and fix the crack under the door, a commercially available insecticidal spray is applied to quickly kill the ants before class starts. You wipe up the dead ants with a damp paper towel and go about your day. The smell of the pesticide lingers in the air, Students touch surfaces in the room where the aerosolized spray may have settled and walk over the residues left on the floor. You come back to the classroom after the weekend and find another trail of ants, coming in from the same crack under the door, marching into the same cabinet. What should you do? Do you ask for the ant spray again? Or do you put in a work order to have the space under your door repaired, clean up the sticky substance, and wipe up the ant trail with warm soapy water? By having the space under your door repaired, you eliminate access. If they can't get in, they won't be indoors. By cleaning up the sticky substance, you eliminate food. If they manage to find their way inside but can't find anything to eat, there's nothing to support a growing population. By using IPM, pests and indoor pesticide use can be kept at a minimum, contributing to a healthy learning environment for students and a healthy work environment for you. Let's talk about ways to prevent pests by eliminating resources for them. Resource number 1, access. The best way to make sure pests don't move in is to deny them access in the first place. Take a look around your building for any potential points of entry. Here are some common maintenance problems that you should report. Check for any light that may be coming in from around exterior doors. A pest as large as a mouse can squeeze under a door through a pencil-sized gap. A rat only needs a hole the size of a quarter. Ask to have a door sweep and weather stripping installed if you do not have it already. Door sweeps and weather stripping keep out all kinds of pests and reduce heating and cooling costs. Have torn window screens repaired. They are an easy access point for pests like flies, mosquitoes, and spiders. If you have windows without screens, consider keeping them closed most of the time. Openings around pipes, railings, or wiring in the exterior and interior of your building can provide access to walls. If you find any, have them sealed. Pests can also be brought in through the mail. If you receive a delivery in a cardboard box, unpack it and recycle it right away. Cockroaches are a common warehouse pest and love the tight spaces of corrugated cardboard. Resource number 2, food. Eliminating access to food is as easy as storing it in pest-proof containers and making sure food is properly disposed of. Store food in hard plastic containers with tight-fitting lids. This includes personal snacks you might keep in your desk and food items used for crafts like pasta. If you allow eating in your classroom, make sure students know to throw wrappers, napkins, and other food-related trash in a garbage can with a liner. Take trash to an outdoor garbage can at the end of the day if custodians do not collect indoor trash every night. If you have a classroom where eating, learning, and play all happen in the same place, designate an area specifically for eating and do not allow food outside of that area. This makes cleanup easier. If you have a communal break room, wash your dirty dishes right away and do not leave them in the sink overnight. Wipe up splatter on the inside of microwaves and other appliances, and run the garbage disposal if you rinse food from your dishes. Store items like sugar or creamer packets in hard plastic containers here too. It's hard to relax and enjoy your break with pests around. Resource number 3, water. Eliminating access to water is simply a matter of cleaning up spills, reporting leaks, and being aware of areas where water may collect. Leaky pipes, faucets, and water fountains not only waste water, but they are sources for pests to get a drink and for mold to grow too. Address these issues right away. Standing water acts as a nursery for mosquitoes and a water source for other pests. Dump or dry standing water as soon as possible. A mosquito only needs a body of water the size of a bottle cap to lay eggs. Check under refrigerators often for any pooling condensation or water leakage. Water coolers have traps that collect drips and spills. Remove and empty the trap or soak the water up with a towel if the trap cannot be removed. Resource number 4, shelter. Shelter can be difficult because we often have little control over storage limitations and the architectural quirks of our spaces. Sometimes clutter can get a little out of hand and items can get stuffed in a drawer and forgotten about. When deciding if you're ready to tackle an area you've been dreading, remember this. If you can't easily access the back of a messy drawer, cabinet, or closet, that is a perfect hiding place for a pest. Think about these tips to eliminate shelter. Store items in hard plastic bins with lids instead of cardboard, especially if the items will be stored long term. Organize the plastic bins so you're still able to easily move them and see the area behind them. Check behind posters, bulletin board decorations, and other artwork on the walls for pests that may be hiding. Have baseboards or molding that may have pulled loose from a wall repaired. Sort and recycle unnecessary paper often, including stacks of old magazines and other materials. Many pests are most active at night, so you may not even know they are present until they've had some time to multiply. Sticky traps are an easy, non-toxic way to monitor for pests 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bait can be placed on the center of the sticky trap to entice pests onto the surface. When they wander onto the surface, they get stuck. This makes it easy to see when pests are present, and actions can be taken before it becomes a bigger problem. Place sticky traps along the wall in areas where you want to monitor, such as food storage areas and under sinks and areas where you might have had an infestation before. Check traps frequently. Identifying pests is essential to choosing the right way to manage them, so let your IPM coordinator take care of that. If you find something, report it right away, and remember, don't bring pesticides from home. Focus your efforts on sanitation. If you're ever in a position where you must ID a pest, contact your local county agricultural commissioner's office or University of California Cooperative Extension for help. So, you do not necessarily need to apply pesticides to manage pests. By maintaining a clean and organized space and monitoring, you help prevent them and reduce the need for indoor pesticide applications. Knowledge check part 2. Which of the following is not a method to help prevent pests? A. Storing food items in hard plastic containers with lids. B. Monitoring for pests with sticky traps. C. Leaving dishes in the break room sink overnight. D. Taking food waste to an outdoor garbage can at the end of the day. The answer is C. Leaving dishes in the break room sink overnight. Part 3. Using antimicrobial pesticides at school. Now that you've learned a bit about how to prevent and monitor for pests, let's learn more about antimicrobial pesticides and cleaning. Antimicrobial pesticides play a very important role in public health by helping reduce the spread of sickness. Because they're used so often, it can be easy to forget that they are pesticides. As such, they must be used according to label directions to work properly and avoid exposure. Over 1/3 of pesticide illnesses reported annually to our department are associated with antimicrobial pesticide use. These are often due to accidental ingestion, eye injury, and respiratory distress. Never store pesticides of any kind in drink containers. Always handle pesticide containers of all kinds carefully and use in well-ventilated areas. Here are some best management practices when using antimicrobial pesticides. 1. Understand the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting. Since cleaning is the general term for a series of tasks that contribute to a more sanitary space, you may not know that there are actual definitions for cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting. Cleaning is the physical removal of unwanted substances from a surface. When you scrub, dust, wash, wipe, or rinse, you're cleaning. Cleaning removes dust, dirt, allergens, oils, and other unwanted substances from surfaces, including some germs. Cleaning frequently maintains sanitary conditions, removes pesticide residues from surfaces, and helps improve indoor air quality by removing dust. You do not need an antimicrobial pesticide to clean. Sanitizing means to apply a product that destroys enough germs to reduce the risk of becoming ill. Food contact surfaces are often sanitized before food is prepared or served on it. Disinfecting means to apply a product that destroys nearly all germs on hard, non-porous surfaces. High-touch areas such as doorknobs, faucets, telephones, high-traffic countertops, and light switches are places that should be disinfected daily. By saving antimicrobial pesticides for surfaces that need to be sanitized or disinfected, you can reduce your daily chemical exposure and the residues your students are exposed to every day. 2. Before you use any pesticide, read the label and follow directions. The directions and safety information on the label are not suggestions. The law requires companies to provide information on how to properly use, store, and dispose of these products. Directions can include the need for personal protective equipment, required hand washing after use, rinsing food contact surfaces, and first aid instructions. Even if you've used the same product for years, label directions can change without any noticeable indication on the packaging. Always read the label. 3. Make sure the product you're using fits your needs. Not all antimicrobial pesticides kill all types of germs. If you have a concern about a specific type of germ, make sure the label lists it and provides the contact time necessary to kill it. Some may require more steps than simply wiping a surface down. You may need to pre-clean before application or rinse surfaces after you are done. Some may need to be left wet on a surface for a longer contact time than you are willing to wait. If you're using wipes, sometimes multiple wipes are needed to keep a surface wet for the time required to sanitize or disinfect. Read the label and determine if the product is right for you. 4. Be ingredient aware. There is a wide selection of cleaning products and antimicrobial pesticides on the market these days. Some may contain ingredients that you or your students are sensitive or allergic to. The US EPA has programs called Design for the Environment and Safer Choice that lists all-purpose cleaners and antimicrobial pesticide products that fit their criteria as having less health and environmental impacts. Visit the Safer Choice webpage at www.epa.gov/safer-choice to find cleaning and antimicrobial pesticide products that work for you. 5. If you use disinfectant wipes, always point the container away from your face to avoid getting the solution in your eyes. Use one wipe per surface to avoid spreading germs from one surface to the next, and make sure you're using enough to keep a surface wet for the required contact time, and never use them to clean hands or other parts of the body. 6. Never let students use them. Students should never be supplied or given access to antimicrobial pesticides. As we discussed earlier in the training, children's bodies are still developing and have less natural defenses than adults do. Antimicrobial pesticide products should only be used by an adult according to label directions. However, that doesn't mean children cannot help keep their classroom clean. Dilute mild soap with water is an effective solution to wipe fingerprints and other grime from hard surfaces. Baby wipes work too. Encourage children to wash their hands as a part of their cleaning duties. Save the antimicrobial pesticides for after class when you have time. Knowledge Check Part 3. You just purchased a new disinfectant. You want to know how long to leave the product wet on a surface to disinfect it. Where would you look? A. On the DPR website. B. On the safety data sheet for the product you used to use. C. Ask your supervisor. D. The product label. The answer is D. The product label. We hope you've gained new insights into how you can help maintain a healthy, pest-resistant environment for yourselves and your students by supporting the foundation of an IPM program. Remember, always check with your IPM coordinator about all pest and pesticide-related decisions at your school. Antimicrobial pesticides have a specific job, and students should never be allowed to use them. To learn more about the concepts in this training, please visit the DPR School and Child Care IPM program website at apps.cdpr.ca.gov/school-IPM. If you have questions, please email us at school-ipm@cdpr.ca.gov. Thanks!